And welcome back to the channel. Mr. Acolyte here, coming at you with some more Marvel Tokon. The final beta recently just ended. The game was up for 3 whole days over the weekend, and during those 3 days, I actually got a ton of playtime. I played a lot of matches with a decent amount of characters. So obviously I have a pretty strong impression of the game now, and that's basically what this video will be. I'm going to give my honest thoughts on how I felt about the final beta and what kind of things I would like to see from this game going forward. Now, when it comes to giving any sort of a review on a product like a fighting game, there's definitely a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things to consider and break down. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to kind of keep it simple to things that I enjoyed and then things that I would like to see improve. So we'll cover both of those. But to start off with, just like my general impressions, I really liked it. I think the game is insanely fun. It's very addicting, and I just think it's a great starting point for a fighting game. It's definitely got its fair share of rough spots, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But in the context of it being a new fighting game that's going to grow from this point, I think it's in a fantastic starting point. Like I said, during the 3 days that the beta was up, I really could not stop playing it. That's just how fun this game is. It's so addicting, and now that it's gone, I'm just like, dang, I wish I could do just one more match. It's like I wish I could go to the lab just one more time. Like, I'm still thinking about, setups and dang, I bet I could have did this, or oh man, you know what? I bet you can do that there, or man, I bet this would be really good. Stuff like that. And the fact that I'm still thinking about it, like 2 days now since the beta's been down, that's pretty much all the proof I can give that the game is like really fun, and just I think it's gonna have a pretty bright future based on like all the pieces put together. So to go into the actual specifics now, let's start with things that I liked. So starting off with the most obvious, that would be the aesthetics, like the look of the game. I mean, this one's obvious to anybody, and this is something that everybody, praises, but, it does need to be said. The game is just absolutely gorgeous. The characters look fantastic on screen. Like, they're so well animated. Arxis, they are just the masters of this by now, from Guilty Gear Xrd to Dragon Ball Fighters to Grand Blue to Strive. They've only gotten better over time. It's like each game that comes out, like the fidelity looks even higher than the last, and this game is no exception. If you haven't played it yourself, man, when you see this game in YouTube videos and on Twitch, like, it looks good, but when you actually load it up in front of you, it's the first time you see it, you're just like, wow. The designs too, it's not just like the graphics, it's the designs, like the designs of the stages. The stages are all multi-layered too. It's kind of like they took that page from Strive. Like, when you go to a stage, the stage isn't just one screen. It's like some of them are 4 screens, some of them 3. It really is insane that like these stages look so good and they're multi-layered. So it got to the point where I didn't even really mind what stage we were fighting on because of the transition system. You're going to be seeing different things all the time. The only exception, of course, is the X-Men mansion, and we can talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, the game, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Character designs, even the menus look good. I like the menuing in this game. I like how the menu is like a comic book aesthetic, and then the comic book aesthetic transitions into the gameplay. Like when you win a round, there's a comic panel. When you guard cancel, there's a comic panel. When you super, there's a comic panel. It's like they really leaned into the whole, Marvel, aesthetic so well. And yeah, can't say enough about how great the game looks. Next thing I liked, another obvious one, the music. The music is just incredible. Once again, this is something that Arxis just specializes in. They're just so good at, making banger tracks that you're going to want to listen to probably even outside of the game. There's so many good songs in this game. Like, it's really hard to even choose a favorite. And once again, like when I was playing, I pretty much kept it on random. And every match, I would just be like, oh man, I love this song. And it's like, oh man, I love this song. And not only are the songs good, but they're also dynamic. I love in games when you have dynamic tracks where the tracks pick up with the action. Like when a round ends, the beat picks up. And like when you get to the final round, the chorus comes in. really, really hype. It makes the final round in the game just feel so cool. And again, just love the tracks, the character themes, stage themes. So good. Next thing on the list of likes, the characters themselves. The characters in this game, absolutely amazing designs in terms of gameplay. I think a lot of people on Twitter have already said this, but this might be one of the best starting rosters in a fighting game ever in terms of just like hits and uniqueness. It's really insane to me that in a starter fighting game, in a starter roster, I should say, that no two characters feel the same, because that's kind of a thing when games come out and, you know, you have to build the game from scratch, you have to build characters from scratch. Usually you get the feeling of like, oh, okay, these characters are similar and these characters are similar, you know, and the game sometimes has like a sort of homogenous feel. But then when DLC characters come out, that's when, you know, the devs get more time to cook and characters start to feel like more distinct. You know, we've seen that pattern over and over. This game feels like it skipped the first step and went straight to the second step, because every character in this game feels so unique. You know, Goblin plays nothing like Spider-Man. Spider-Man plays nothing like Blade. Blade plays nothing like Magic. Magic plays absolutely nothing like Doom, you know, like so on and so forth. Like these characters, they all feel so unique and fun. It's crazy. It makes you want to experiment with so many different characters. That's the kind of game this is, where it's a 4v4, and thank goodness it is, because you have enough slots to actually play around with all the characters that you think are fun. And I think a lot of that goes to the unique button. It was a genius idea for them to implement the unique button from, you know, Blaze Blue and Grand Blue, where, you know, each character has a unique action, and because of that, the devs can build kits around those actions. So it's kind of like, it's almost impossible for two characters to feel the same, because every character is built around their unique. And if something is unique, then yeah, no two things are going to be the same. So yeah, I really can't say enough good things about that, about how every character just feels special and different. It's just crazy. And this is just the beginning. You know, characters are going to be coming out in this game for years. So, you know, like in 2 years, I just can't even imagine, with patches and new characters, how things are going to feel. I think like that's probably one of the best things about this game, is just how great the characters feel to pilot. And the last thing I want to talk about on the list of likes is a simple one, but it needs to be said, and that is just the fun factor. Fun obviously is very subjective, but I feel pretty confident saying that this game is simply just fun. I think it's because of the gameplay loop. The way this game plays, there's something about the pacing of it. The pacing and the resource management and the unlocking factor. The whole factor of the match starts and you only have one assist. So there's like a sense of urgency, like, okay, I need to get a hit and break the wall so I can get more teammates. That concept pretty much never gets old. Like every time the round starts, it's refreshed again. And again, you're like, man, I can't wait to unlock my team. And every time you unlock a new member, there's just a sense of like, okay, cool, now I can do this. And it's like, okay, I have access to this now. And then like every time you get your last member, you're like, yes, finally, I have my unique assist, you know, now I can do this and that. Also, I have more bars. Also, I can build more meter. So I think that they really knocked it out of the park with the gameplay loop. This game, just the gameplay loop of building up your team during the match, and then once your team is built up, utilizing all of, you know, your new resources that you just unlocked. There's something just so fun about it that, like I said, it just doesn't get old. Like it was enjoyable every single time. It's really genius because, again, that setup allows you to enjoy the game in so many different ways, because it's also genius that you're allowed to play 1v1 if that's the kind of game that you prefer, because not everybody likes tag games. So you can play this as a 1v1, but if you want to delve deeper and actually use the tag mechanics, you're heavily rewarded for that, because the tag mechanics are very deep in this and there's a lot to explore there, and it's very rewarding. So I can't really say enough about how smart the general flow of gameplay is designed. and also just again like how much fun it is. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about some dislikes. So right out of the gate, before we get to anything, you know, gameplay related, I feel like I have to comment on the PC performance. I tried to play the beta on PC, and yeah, I have a pretty good PC. Like I don't really have trouble playing most games, but this game I could not run. I could not run it at all. It was in slow motion. I had to switch over to the PS5 version. Apparently the word on the street was the reason the game was running so poorly is because they were trying to protect against, hacking and cracking, which is understandable because every beta, that has come out on PC in the last couple of years has all been cracked. Not saying that, that makes it okay, because a lot of people didn't get to play, which really sucks. I feel like I'm fortunate that I did get to play. So that is very unfortunate, and I pray, because I pre-ordered this game on Steam, so I'm praying that when the main game comes out, that is not at all the case. I hope that the main game runs smoothly, because I do want to play this game on PC. I prefer playing my fighting games on PC, as a streamer. It's just way easier to play a fighting game on PC than it is to play it on console through capture cards and stuff like that. So yeah, fingers crossed that that's going to be fixed. I have faith because every other Arxis game runs insanely well on PC, so I don't see why this would be the exception. But yeah, again, fingers crossed that it's just because, of the anti-hacking stuff. Now, to move on to the actual gameplay related things that I did not love. So to boil it down, I think when it comes to gameplay, I only have one complaint that it's one simple complaint that kind of cascades out and affects multiple layers of the game. And I'd say my main complaint is that there are a lot of points in the game that feel too strict for no reason. It's a tag game, with 4 characters, so I understand that limitations have to be put in place so that the game doesn't just become, just a chaotic, blurry mess of nonsense. I understand that, but there's a lot of places where limitations have been put on you, and I don't really understand it. The first one, I can list off a couple of things, because like I said, it all kind of layers together. It's one complaint that, like I said, it branches out, like a ripple effect. So starting with, and I'm pretty sure everybody has complained about this. I know this was all over Twitter and everyone's been talking about it in every video I've seen. The 4-button limit. This one was not only jarring, but just very confusing, and I still don't understand it. So if you're not aware, if you haven't heard, the game now has a 4-button limit. So if I get on your block and I do light, light, medium, medium, that's the end of my string. I cannot press heavy. Once you hit 4 buttons, you're locked out, and from there you can only go into special moves or assists. This to me is a very, very confusing decision, and it just seems kind of arbitrary. The only thing I can imagine is that they don't want you swinging on someone's block for that long, but I don't think that that's an issue. Just adding in a heavy after light, light, medium, medium is not gonna make that much of a difference to where the game becomes unplayable. I feel like, in my opinion, that does more harm than good, and I hope it's a change that they revert soon, because in the first 2 betas it wasn't like that. That's a new change to this beta. The reason it's such a problem is because it stifles multiple things. First of all, it stifles your pressure. If you're trying to open someone up with a stagger, light is basically just filler. When you're in a game like this, when you're doing light, that's not really intended to actually hit the person. That's just like telling the opponent, hey, I'm on your block. The actual staggers usually come from the mediums. Usually you put in a delay and you'll put like a standing medium and then wait a second and do a crouch medium. And by the time you get to that crouch medium, that's usually going to be the point where the opponent either hits a button or tries to jump or simply stand up to avoid an overhead. But in a situation where light, medium, medium is the end, by the time I do my low, I'm locked out of doing any other string. So I cannot confirm into my heavy. I now have to spend a resource in order to actually combo somebody after I just, took the time to open them up. This becomes an even bigger problem when you factor in the assemble gauge. If you're not aware, the green bar under your health is the assemble gauge. You basically use that for everything in this game. You use it to get people off of you, you use it to extend combos, and you use it to extend pressure. So when you get in on the opponent, by default, the amount of offense that you can apply is restricted by the nature of the game. And that I'm okay with, because you have 4 characters. If there wasn't some sort of restriction there, then you would just attack forever and it would be your turn forever. And that would not be a good game. That would be completely unhealthy, and how would you play that? So that part I'm okay with. But because that exists, I feel like your tools as a character need to be stronger, because by the time I get in, if I only have 1 bar to spend, that means I can only call 1 assist. My stagger game has to be pretty strong. It doesn't feel good to get in on the opponent and I can only do a couple of buttons before I have to spend my gauge. And then when I spend my gauge, I can only do a couple of buttons again and back off. That just doesn't feel very good. Since the interactions up close are naturally limited by the assemble gauge, I feel that we should have more freedom of how we structure our offense when we actually get in. That coincides with the next thing I want to talk about, and that's just general block strength. So again, you can only do 4 buttons, so you got to choose your 4 buttons very wisely if you don't have an assemble gauge. But even when you have an assemble gauge, this was another pain point for me that I did not really enjoy. The block stun on assists, in my opinion, is just way too low. Whenever you call an assist in this game, especially the lariat assist, it kind of feels useless. The lariat assist on block is about +8-ish. It's like between like +8 and +10, depending on whatever button you did and like when you call it. It's about +8 to +10, and that's basically nothing. +8 is just enough for you to do like another medium. So you would do like button, lariat assist, and then press a medium. And to me, that's not really real pressure. That's an extension, but that's not any sort of a mix-up. It's kind of like it's basically, to me, it's offensive filler. It's not an actual mix-up, and it's not real pressure. It's just kind of like you're on the opponent's block, but there's no real purpose behind it. And again, you're spending a bar just to even initiate that situation. So it feels a little weird to me that when I get in, I have a limited number of turns, and then the turn that I have doesn't feel that impactful. Just doing button, just doing like button, assist, button. Like once you start fighting stronger players who are actually blocking, they're not mashing, they're not jumping, they're just sitting there and waiting for you to exhaust your turn, you start to see where it's like, okay, I'm attacking, but I'm not really doing anything, So it's like, I would like to see that buffed up a little bit. I feel like when it comes to resource management, your resources should feel worth spending. If I'm going to the trouble of being like, I'm not gonna guard cancel, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna extend my combo, I'm gonna save my bar for pressure, but then I get in and the pressure I get from that bar is whatever, again, that just doesn't feel very rewarding, and I would like to see that changed. What it seems like the case is, and this is what I was doing, from the second day onward, you're not supposed to use the lariat assist for block stun. You're supposed to active tag, and that's fine, but I feel like that shouldn't be the only way to get real pressure. Like that's cool that they incentivize you to do that, but I should still be able to call a regular assist and be able to get some sort of mix-up or some sort of pressure out of it without having to tag. Like, I don't think that should be the only way. At least in my opinion. Some might disagree, but again, that's something that I would just like to see, tweaked a little bit. Like, I'm not saying make, lariat assist and, assist in general, like, plus infinity, but at least, like, 8 to 10 more frames of block stun, at least enough block stun that I can dash up and go for a shimmy, or dash up and go for a stagger. I would be happy with that. At least allow me to dash, because right now in the current state of it, like when you fight a strong player, if they see you do a lariat assist, any strong player is just going to immediately mash because they know that whatever you're about to do is not going to be that scary, and the chances of them like stealing a turn and hitting you is very, very high. So yeah, that's something that I would love to see changed. But with all that being said, again, I am still really looking forward to this game. I had a blast. Like I said, my positives greatly outweigh my negatives. To end on a positive note, the last thing I will say that I loved is the potential of this game. Because man, when you go into the lab in this game, there's so much to consider, especially with what I was talking about earlier, like with active tag setups, because it's obvious that's what they want you to be doing. There is just so much potential there for like strong active tag, pressure, and, active tag combos, mix up, stuff like that. That aspect of the game just feels like there's so much depth there. And there's just a lot going on with each character, all the assists, the positions, everything. Like, I feel like this game is insane in the potential department, and looking for that potential and like finding new setups was like infinitely fun. And I also just love like the overall depth of like, this game is simultaneously like easy and super hard at the same time, because if you want to get on this game and just, pick Spider-Man because you're a Spider-Man fan and you're not really into fighting games, but you like Spider-Man and you just want to get on and press some buttons, you can do that, and this game will be fun and flashy and cool things will happen and you'll have a great time. But if you're like, like more of like a fighting game expert and you want a game that you can really like sink your teeth into and find a lot of depth, it has that too. And the fact that this game is both of those things at the same time, I think is a testament to just how well designed it is. It's somehow super easy, but almost overwhelmingly deep at times too. To me, it's honestly insane that a game could be both those things at the exact same time. But with that, it's going to go ahead and bring us to the end of the video. I think that I have yapped enough. Hopefully I was able to get my point across. I really can't wait for release. I'm going to be playing and streaming this game like crazy. So, leave a like if you enjoyed this. Definitely let me know what you guys think. Talk to me down in the comments. What were your likes, dislikes? Are you buying the game? Have you already pre-ordered it like me? Who are you looking forward to playing? All that good stuff. Do you agree, disagree with some of the points I brought up? Definitely let me know. By the way, I am going to be making a lot of guides for this game, starter guides, character guides, choose your main, all that good stuff. So consider subscribing, if you want to see Marvel Tokon stuff, if you're a fan of this game, because I'm going to be covering it like crazy and be streaming it here on YouTube and on Twitch. Can't wait. But with all that being said, once again, appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.